I've been working with the EQI 2.0 emotional intelligence assessment for a long time, honestly since 2013. And I've processed or scored about 800 of the assessments, and I've learned a thing or two. I've discovered a thing or two. One of the things that I appreciate about the assessment is that it is gender neutral and culture neutral, which can't be said about all assessment tools, but can be said about this one. That said, in my smaller sample size of about 800 assessments, I've noticed that when women take the assessment and then men take the assessment, I usually do notice a bit of a trend. Not in all cases. This is not hard and fast as a rule. I wanted to talk, though, about one of the trends I see with women, and I'm going to include myself in that sample because it was true of me. Two of the skills are assertiveness and empathy. Assertiveness is defined in this model as being the skill that's the sweet spot in the middle of either being too passive or too aggressive. If you're passive and you're in a negotiation, you don't care so much about your own feelings. Instead, you care more about the other person getting what they want, or you care more about their feelings and well-being. And being aggressive is just the opposite. You only care about yourself, you're focused on you, and you're not as interested in the other person getting their needs met. So being assertive is the sweet spot in the middle where you care about you and about the other person, and you're working towards getting mutual needs met, or as close as possible to a mutual understanding and agreement. Empathy is the skill of being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, see things from their point of view, be curious, really want to listen to understand that person, even if their viewpoint or perspective is different than your own, and have empathy, meaning I get what you're saying, I understand why you're saying how I know you to be. Even if I don't know you too well, it would make sense to me that you see it that way, and I honor that. It's like saying I see you, I hear you, I understand you, I respect you. I may not agree. However, I'm willing to listen to you. So women, I notice, and I was one of these women years ago, women tend to score higher in empathy and lower in assertiveness. And I think it's because how we're socialized and even maybe how our brains work. So men, I notice, and at least in my sample size, as I said, tend to score higher in assertiveness and lower in empathy. I'm not going to address that one today. I'm just going to focus on the women's aspect. Women that I work with, I focus on building their independence, building their ability to think for themselves, and then to express their opinions in such a way that they are not as concerned about what other people think as they are focusing on being honest, being truthful, being sure and certain about what they believe, or expressing their opinion in such a way that they stay in their authority. I love to help women stand in their authority and feel sure, clear, and certain that they believe what they are saying, regardless of what somebody else would judge, how they would be judged. Because in emotional intelligence, we are talking about let's gift to whomever we're speaking to no shame, no blame, no judgment, no criticism. And that means we want to have that hold true for our relationships with ourselves. Many women are socialized to people please, to broker harmony, to care more about maybe, not that there's anything wrong with caring more about relationships than anything else, but to put relationships at the forefront. That actually is a good thing, and you want to keep it in balance. You want to keep it into perspective. You want to be able to stand up for yourself, which actually is self-regard, as well as honoring the person you're listening to. so that it's Women's History Month, I thought it would be interesting to explain where it's important for women to improve the balance between assertiveness and empathy. So how might you do that? So just using me as an example, I had to learn to dial down my empathy when I was a new therapist and a new coach. I used to, not consciously, but unconsciously, refrain from seeing what I saw, from telling what I saw. I used to hold back too much, afraid that I was going to hurt somebody's feelings, or honestly, that they'd be upset with me if they didn't like what I had to say. So as I worked on balancing empathy and assertiveness over the years, I dialed my empathy back a little and dialed my assertiveness up to match it, so that I can say the constructive feedback I need to give in a way that lands the best way possible. So saying the feedback in a way that takes someone else's feelings into account and that governs or guides how I would deliver the constructive feedback. Not just blurting it out quickly as possible without regard to how it might land, but really taking the time to say, to myself, I want to be honest. I want to be true. It's my job to tell this person what I see. That's why they hired me. And if they get offended or their feelings are hurt, I will ask, how is this landing with you? And if they're hurt or upset, we have time to process that out. I will listen to them, and we will work to resolve to get to some place that's on the same page. So hopefully this is helpful information, and that you keep this in mind when you're working with women, or if you are a woman and you're wanting to build your assertiveness to be in balance with your empathy skills, because that way you will have more influence, you will be more empowered, and you will certainly be more successful.